We are live.
Ooh.
Cool. So Trish and I are going to be talking weekly.
Fortnightly.
Oh, fortnightly. Yeah. We're going to be just covering different topics around for hypnotherapists, just on everything we can think about. And today I was having a think about what was something that maybe I've been talking to quite a few people about lately, which is self-care for therapists. We are, of course, talking about hypnotherapists, but that's across the board, eh? Like
Oh, absolutely.
healers,
Natural,
counselors,
anything natural. Yeah.
yeah, anything. And we always talk about what we need to do for our clients and how we need to help them. But one thing I've noticed is that if you work with people all of the time and you're not careful, you can actually take on just take on the energy of what other people are going through. And it can affect your life, it can affect your health,
Your relationship.
your nervous system, your relationship. So I thought a good topic would be just around a little chat on self-care and when
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
notice that you need a bit of a break.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got any questions for future videos, please inbox them to us or write them down in the comments. But before we get started on that topic, Justine, you know
Serious.
me, I always like to have a bit of a laugh first, okay?
Yeah.
So my question for you today, just like the cordial last time, it's drawn randomly from this pack called Normal or Nah, okay?
Yeah.
Is it normal or not to get completely naked to poop? I know.
No. You imagine if you're in Rotorua, in Rotorua there's a big warehouse and you need to go to the toilet. You imagine if you got naked to poop. if somebody
But,
says yes, I really want to know if they poo away from home.
how do people think of these things? I've never thought of
Is that
that.
is that the first time you read that?
I just drew it randomly before we started, and I'm like, right, I'm going to go with this card, and looked it up and went, oh,
Oh, that's
well. So is it normal to get naked to poop?
oh well, I've answered it myself. I don't to be honest, apart from being a baby, I don't think I've ever pooped naked, have I?
Let us know in the comments
Thank
if
you.
that's normal or not,
Yeah.
honestly. Okay.
Okay. Well, if you
But
are watching, put it in the comments. Yeah, that's an interesting now.
no
Now I'm trying to
pictures.
think whether
No,
I've
no
gotten naked
pictures.
out of bed and just gone to the toilet or not before
We
pooping.
don't need any pictures, okay? Is that normal or not? So,
We'll just
Justine,
think it's normal or not. Yeah,
how are we going to avoid burnout and recognize it as
that's
a
a
therapist?
that's a big
Get,
change. For
get,
one,
get
wear
naked to poop.
clothes when you're pooping.
Yes, you
Yeah,
must wear your clothes.
I think one thing to talk about first would be, I suppose I'm starting from the end first, would be, Trish, for you, how do you know when you're starting to feel not a poop? How do you know?
I need to poop.
Yeah, how do you know when you're starting to need a break when you're seeing lots of clients? Because I know you have quite a full
Mine's got two things. One is when I feel like I'm not having fun.
yeah.
So you feel like you haven't had that good belly laugh in a while, or you feel like it's just going from appointment to situation to do this, to do that. It's constant non-stop. And then you get to the end of the day and your brain's still going, okay, I've got to get this done, I've got to get this done, I've got to get this done. And I'm not having fun anymore. Like even when I'm out like shooting pool or playing video games, my brain is still doing that. I've got to get this done.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, look, you're not having fun anymore, Trish. You need to disconnect to reconnect with yourself. And sometimes, like, it's natural to ignore these things because you've got to remind yourself, pull yourself up, because it becomes habitual. And it's interesting because I just posted this on Facebook the other day. When busyness becomes your life, relaxation becomes your stress.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then the second cue for me, and this is usually when I pick myself up, is when I start getting snappy at John.
Yeah.
Just for no reason. Like all he'll do is put say a cup on the end of the bench. And I'm like, why can't you put that in the dishwasher? It's 2 feet away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Trish, you have not had fun. We're 2 feet from the dishwasher is triggering you, and I've got to pull myself back.
Yeah.
So that's me. And, and we get wrapped up in it, I admit, but that's when I've got to go, okay, well, I need to disconnect from social for just a little bit. I need to go and shoot some pool and deliberately put my phone face down and do not look at it until the end of the night, and disconnect to reconnect with Trish.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what about you?
Yeah, I was going to say two things. One, it's a really good point about the phone. I think one thing with hypnotherapists is because we have our page on Facebook and on social media, our business platform and our social engagement, say with family and friends platform, is the same.
It
So
is.
for our brain, it's kind of there'll be an intermingle between what should be our fun, relaxed, enjoyed
And we're
time.
also taught.
They click, they mix.
Yeah, we're also taught call to action. So when I did my NLP, you've always got to have your call to action and get onto people now and all this sort of stuff. No, you don't.
Yeah.
That email can wait till 9 a.m. in the morning, or you can say, no worries, I'll be back on board in my office at blah time.
Yeah.
It's okay to not be that call to action person. We're like, oh, I've got to get the client, got to give
For
them.
me, this week, I think I've got people I need to contact from reaching out on Monday, but I just really haven't been able to. Yeah.
And if they don't wait, then the chances are they're not going to be a good client to work with anyway.
Yeah. Because most people don't make a snap decision unless you're a bit one of those people that go, oh, I want something, and usually that changes pretty quick as well. The other thing, because our social media and our business interlinks, and for a lot of us, because even if you do have a clinic in town, a lot of your work is done at home, because half of your job is advertising and social media and checking your page. So even at home, our jobs interlink with home life. There's no work.
And that's where we've got to have that discipline as well. Like, we need the social media plan, or we need the clock on and clock off times. And we have to say to ourselves, turn off. I really admire Annie Walker for this, because on Sundays, you can message her on Facebook and, go, hey, blah, blah, blah. She will not respond until the Monday when she's back on. And she will say, look, I'm at a concert or something like that, and just do a simple post, and she will not clock back on. And she has that discipline to go, no, Sundays are no social day. They disconnect, and she goes out in her garden, she hangs with her friends, go to markets, and she allows herself to not live through the phone or the device.
And it's so important. And I think another thing with our job is it's the kind of job where everyone is constantly learning. Like, everyone is constantly learning. And if it's not constantly learning about the mind, it's constantly learning about business, or it's constantly.
We have to have so many hats.
You have to. So you're constantly learning as well. So your brain, your job almost becomes your identity. And when that crosses over, what can also happen is then you can start to feel like a little bit resentment
because you're not having fun.
Really get in, because it becomes more like a job. So
there's a grind.
There's things to really be aware of. From being in the industry for quite a while now, full time. Full time being 7 days. There's no days off, right? There are things, especially when you're starting out, to be kind of aware of around self-care. And if you get it right at the start, like anything, it's easier to implement in the future. Whereas, I think about a year ago, I'd been seeing clients, quite a lot of them every day. I'm on my own, so I felt the pressure of, working on a Saturday, working whenever, just to make sure that we had a good lifestyle. So I did it for quite a long time, and then one day I woke up, and it would have been what they called burnout, where I just couldn't see clients for a while, and I focused on more the training and the organization for roughly a year, with I still saw the clients because you need to for the cash coming in, but not to the extent I was having before. And it was because I actually just couldn't. I couldn't
Yeah.
put stuff in that space. And I do see things different. Like in that time, I think I was putting, there was not much of a blend between work and home and clients' problems and my problems and all of that kind of stuff that you learn.
Yeah.
So it is when you, it is something to really look
I
at.
think also some of us need to change up our wording as well, because like we might say something along the lines of like, I need to go and relax. What if you just needed to decompress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Give
balloon.
yourself permission to decompress, because when you're decompressing, you're doing it your way. A lot of people are like, oh, you've got to relax. So go for a massage, go for a walk, blah, blah, blah. But we don't all relax the same way. So for me to decompress is to go shoot some pool, disconnect from the device, and just enjoy the people that I'm with,
Yeah.
be in that moment. And there are other times like where like I had to decompress from a situation over the weekend, and all these people rallied towards me and they were all supportive, and I was like, yes, thank you, but go away, because I'm going to go back to my hotel room. I'm going to reassess what just happened, listen to some hypnosis, and decompress. Not relax as such, but decompress from what's going on and work out, how am I going to go into tomorrow with a better game plan where I can go, you know what? I'm really happy with how I executed that, rather than just feeling like shit.
Yeah.
Does that
And
make sense?
and that's a really good point for, another thing with when you're talking about decompressing. Students always ask me about how many clients they have per day, and where do you space them. And you talking about decompressing reminds me of something that when I was learning supervision for self-care between clients, how we talk about what should you do between clients. And I remember seeing this beautiful analogy of a whiteboard where, someone comes in and they tell you their stuff and you write it up on the whiteboard. And then if you don't take time to clean that whiteboard off, then the next person comes in and you write their stuff on top of that whiteboard, and so on until you've got 5 people's things on top of that whiteboard. And now you're looking at a person and you're like, which stuff was yours again? Because the whiteboard is just full of problems.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about us decompressing with also decompressing between the clients gives our mind just a wipe off and a refresh and a getting back into yourself again, and then being prepared for the next person. And I guess if we do that as well, we're not going home with 5 or 6 or 7 people's things up on a whiteboard for us to try and wipe clean.
Yeah, and even if you work from home, you still need to do that. So I used to have a plastic plant at the door, and there was a Chinese proverb that whenever you come home from work, hang all your bags on the tree at the door, go in and enjoy your family, be in their time and space, and then when you go back to work, pick up all the bags off the tree and take them to work with you. Or you can leave the bags on the tree, and the tree will go, okay, how do I recycle this into the universe to make it better?
Yeah.
And that's what I used to do. I had a plastic, big, massive fern at my door, and I'd be about to come out of my clinic, and I'd be like, right, no, 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 no. And then as you walk through the door, because that's transitioning from one room to another, I'd be like, okay, now I am Trish, that is with John. How was your day, sweetheart?
Yeah.
Rather than this client didn't get it. Did I do the wrong thing? Put the beat up for work hours if you have to.
Yeah.
By the time I come back next day,
on the door closed.
Yeah, I'm closed for business. Done, and I'll pick that up tomorrow. And I don't know how many times I'd walk through that door and I'd think about that client. I'm like, you know what, Trish, you did your best job.
Yeah.
And you haven't got feedback from them yet. So why are you beating yourself up? I guarantee you 99.9% of the time that client would come back within a week or two to their next appointment. They would go, you know what, that last session was really good. I thought about what you said, and I'm like, they needed time to decompress, and I was too busy going,
Yeah.
decompress already. Like,
It's interesting, eh? Isn't it
yeah.
funny how sometimes you have clients and it blows me away when the client leaves and you just just have that feeling that you don't get it often, but just
Mm.
don't know,
Yeah,
or
because they need time
because
to
it's not about
process.
us, it's not about us either, because it's a process. But the amount of times when you think, oh, like that, and then they come back
Mm.
with incredible results or whatever, and you're like, what?
Mm.
Because it's just doesn't happen often, but there's those times that you just don't. It's more like a rapport thing. The rapport's just not there. The energy's just a bit
Yeah, and
funny,
there's
and then
uncontrollable variables. So
yeah,
yeah. So what would be your biggest advice to anyone watching this about burnout?
burnout. I think the biggest thing for me through mine is I think it's really important, and I'm not doing it right now, is to have the work you, like we were talking about, and the
Yes.
home you,
Mm-hmm.
and separating it,
Yep.
and making sure that you have things that you actually enjoy for you and you know what they are, so
Mm.
that you have got a go-to thing that's not work related. Like
Yes.
I said, in my life, for most of my enjoyment, people might go out and drink and party, but I obsessively love studying, and that's always
Me
been my
too.
thing. But now
Me
it's
too.
studying. If it's studying your work, for me
Mm.
now it's like, no, you've got to have something else. So I had a week of binge watching like
Yeah.
Netflix
Yeah.
just to let my brain not have to. I can think about something that's very different. I think for me, when we're talking about our nervous systems, one of the best things you can ever do for the nervous system is to go outside, to smell fresh air, to walk
Be in that
slowly,
moment.
look at the trees, just so
Mm-hmm.
there's no bloody tiger chasing us.
Yeah.
And we tell our clients to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
I actually think we need to do that too, because
Yep.
if we're sitting in with a client and a client does end up telling us something that they've been through, and we're kind of in an altered state, our brain is picturing it, and it has got to influence our nervous system. It can't
Absolutely.
not. You'd have to be regulating yourself. So I think for me, going outside, and the reason why I say to go outside, because we can do breathing techniques and all of this kind of stuff to regulate.
Mm.
I'm pretty damn sure that the best way and quickest way to regulate the nervous system is to actually go outside, to slowly walk, to
Yeah.
look at the colours of
Reconnect with
trees.
nature.
Yeah, yeah, because our as an animal brain
Mm-hmm.
can't do that and be chased by a tiger. You literally can't be running away from a threat and going, well, that's a pretty pink flower. I think I smell it. But wait, hang
Yeah.
on, stop chasing me while I look at the flower. So I spend quite a lot of time looking at flowers now and taking photos.
Mm.
And it did start with a definite knowing that if I didn't regulate, get my
Mm.
nervous system good,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm not helping anyone, because I'll end up being sick. And it does. I think the burnout period is around 7 years for people with mental health
Mm-hmm.
that don't look after themselves. It's such a small, and that'll be for any professions where you're hearing and seeing things that are hard all the time. Even if you just heard, if you're working with grief and every day you were hearing about people passing, I mean, that's got to affect you if you're not.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know this happens with John because he watches those dash cam videos on Facebook, and then all of a sudden he's paranoid when he's driving, like, get away from me. Like, hey, relax. You've got to stop watching those dash cam videos. It
Yeah,
does
yeah,
affect
yeah.
you. It
Because I mean,
absolutely does.
it becomes your. I think what you look at and what you're around in that moment is your reality. And if your
Mm.
reality is a lot of people with, I was
Like
talking to someone
being on
recently when
alert.
I first started hypnotherapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have an understanding about how, if we're in an altered state and people are telling us stories, how our brain will picture it and even create a memory of it. So I did have some weird experiences where my body did play out stuff, that stories that I'd heard. But my biggest one was when I was working with weight loss. How I did, at first I was putting on weight for things that I didn't put on weight for before that,
Mm-hmm.
because I was hearing this common themes going into my mind. And so that's another thing when I'm with clients. If a client was to come in, because I work with more trauma related stuff, and a client is telling me they're going to go and start telling me something that I know might trigger or affect me in some way, I put my hands together and I rub my hands and I make sure I can feel them. Because if I can feel my hands,
ground,
I'm wide awake, I'm here, I'm present, and I'm not in an altered state.
Yeah.
And so, or I have a pen and I make sure if I'm working with someone that's going to say something that is triggering, I am going to be fully 100% present in my body, because I'm not going to let my brain create a memory or story around that has to be processed at night. Yeah,
those dreams.
And then, but when if we go into trance together and we're going in a beautiful garden, I'm with them.
I'm playing out that script. I'm in that garden as well.
Yeah, I'm in the garden too. But when it's the other time talking about the issues,
free talks and stuff.
Awake.
Yeah, same.
Wide awake. Yep.
So, is it normal to get naked while you poop? That is the undeniable question.
You've given me 15 minutes to think. I'm going to have to say this. I don't think it's normal, but I would honestly say that because I used to sleep nutty all of the time, I must have done it once.
You know what? And at the end of the day, if you haven't done it, put it on your bucket list, because you never know, you might enjoy the breezies.
And you can flick us a message and say, I did it, Trish.
Off my bucket list.
Different. I just got cold. No, I'm kidding.
It's not normal, but I did it just to get it off my bucket list.
Oh, what a question. No, you didn't answer it, Trish.
Oh, well, honestly, I don't think it is. Is it normal? I don't think so. But yes, I have done it. When? It's because literally when we were kids, we used to go jump in the cattle trough, and Mum wouldn't let you come inside, like, once you've got, like, yuck all over your clothes. So you'd strip off naked to go have a shower, and she'd always say, toilet first, then shower. And that's what you did. So, yeah, as a kid, absolutely. As an adult, don't know. And if I did, I was probably really drunk.
Yep. That's another day.
That's another conversation. So, yeah. So thank you, everybody, for joining in. Justine and I will be back in a fortnight. We will